Today marks the start of a new series here on the channel, City Spotlight, where we explore stunning City Skylines 2 builds created by other players. This first episode is a special one, as it all started from admiring incredible screenshots on Reddit and Discord, just wondering how these cities look up close. So I reached out to the creator of today's city and they kindly agreed to let me explore it in full. The city is built by Cities, and it's set on a volcanic island inspired by the real-world Mount Augustine in Alaska. It's not based on any one country, but you'll spot influences from both China and the US. And while parts of the mainland are still a work in progress, we'll be focusing on the completed island known as Latihara, which is absolutely packed with detail. And my favourite thing about this city, it's not just beautiful, it works. From the fully functioning light rail system with custom stations, to clever parking setups, and some seriously intricate road planning, this city blends form and function in a way that's hard to believe. And what's even more impressive, despite how detailed and modded it looks, Cities uses fewer mods than I do in Sunny Isle, my main series. In fact, most of the visual impact here comes from just a handful of essential assets and mods used in smart ways. Okay, so we'll have a look at the whole island. I've been advised to follow the coast around to have a look at all the individual details. And while we do have a lot to see today, I don't think we'll be able to cover everything. So I'll try to find key areas that I find interesting. We'll also have a look at some areas around the middle of the city as well, because I can see we've got this light rail train that comes all the way through here. And I know there's a few custom stations that are built into buildings itself. But let's start down here at the bottom and then we'll work our way around. We'll head down to this marina. We'll follow it up around this nature reserve. We'll come into the barrier beach on the left side here, into the airport, and then we'll have a closer look at the central area of the city closer to the end of the episode. And the first thing I'd like to have a look at is this beautiful, beautiful custom bridge that they've got coming into the city. It's high enough for boats to come through. I think that's a very clever idea, especially if we're going to be receiving more boats in the future with the ports and bridges DLC. So future-proofing your city is a great idea, and you can see how popular this route is coming into the city. But I did mention that maybe some of the road settings hadn't come across properly when I first transferred the save over, but you can get an idea how popular this route is. And just the setting, the scene is absolutely incredible. Cities has created something of a masterpiece here with all the small details, all the mashing of the buildings together, but also creating something that looks like it's lived in. It looks chaotic, it looks realistic, and they've taken advantage of all the available assets, whether it's the vanilla base game assets like this European low density commercial asset, or we've got some of the Chinese Dragon Gate assets here and the Northeast Fire Station. It's great, absolutely love it. And if you're looking for any sort of water edge inspiration builds, here it is right here. We've got these, what I think are the Northeast homes, if we have a quick look. Yes, Northeast. And what they've done is they've created these little jetties that they sit on. And I think these are likely some of the custom assets. Yeah, Jay's wooden piers. So these are the ones that are installed locally that you can download from Sully's Discord server. And that just looks absolutely incredible, that. And I'm guessing that that is a static building, right? No, it's a real building. Somebody actually lives in this house. That's fantastic. Imagine the view of that bridge, the view of the coastline, the view of that mountain, which I've completely overlooked at the start of this episode, which I'm sure I would have included in the cinematics, but I'm just obsessed with all the tiny little details. I don't know how I'm going to get through this build. So this is the Latihara Old Urban Core. So this is where I imagine the city would have first been established, especially being this close to the mainland here with the bridge. It makes a lot of sense that there would be a lot of economic activity around here with easy access like that. And we've got lots of things to see here. We've got this beautiful beachside sports ground. Looks like we've got either a tennis court or maybe some sort of volleyball, along with a little racetrack around the edge so you can go running. But just the details, the levels here, you've got this road up at the top here, and it takes you out onto a terrace. And then you've got this elevated seating area, which is incredibly detailed. And these little mausoleum towers, which I believe are from the cemetery upgrades, they just fit perfectly. It's amazing how they've just been able to harmonize all the different assets together. And then on top of that, they haven't just put together lots of different assets to create unique buildings, but they've also matched the colors. They've spent so much time adding detail to the road. So even just this little intersection here where we've got either traffic heading straight on or turning left, we've got all the individual road markings which have been custom created specifically for this build. That's very, very impressive. So let's have a look. We've got this road coming along here, it circles around there. We've got this little town square here, little courtyard. These little details here with the coloured road markings, I assume for public transport. Yes, we've got the little taxi bus sign here. So they are thinking about the way that traffic works in their city, not just the way it looks. So they're allowing public transport to have more efficient routes through the city so that people choose public transport over their own personal vehicles, which I think is an excellent idea. If you're ever trying to build a very intricate, tightly fit city like this, you need to prioritize public transport. And that's what we're trying to do in our own city as well, ensuring that areas around the central part of the city is very walkable and very easy to access with public transport like buses and trams. Got a little bit of traffic. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if this is my fault or whether it's just the build itself, but then it leads us up to this intersection here, which in itself just looks like an absolutely beautiful screenshot. Absolutely stunning. And all around we have a mix of commercial, residential, and even a little bit of industry here and there. But it's these small details, it's using up all the available space that really makes this build and anybody's build special. They have left no stone unturned. This custom car park here, completely filled to the brim with details, whether it's bollards, line work, little parking bays at the side here. It really makes the area feel fully integrated, like you don't know when or where one build ends and the other begins. It's very, very unique. So the traffic is moving, which is great. I'm glad to see that. I'm guessing it's just because we're allowing the city to settle in. Okay, so we left off at this small sports pavilion, and if we follow this around, we've got this beautiful coastline here, using some of these custom pier assets again from Jay, and you can just see this whole area is just super dense. It might not necessarily be high density in terms of the height of the buildings, but the number of assets here, the number of residents here is super, super high. You've got a lot of people packed in. You've got businesses, we've got the school here, and even these assets that come with the game, they've been customized so that they integrate into the surrounding area absolutely beautifully. And it's just great that, you know, you can see all these people moving around. The city is alive. It's connected with paths, roads. Down here, we've got these custom road networks. So you don't necessarily need to use vanilla textured assets everywhere. You could come through with your own surfaces and decals and make the roads themselves just look unique to your city. And it's excellent use of the recolor mod here, combining assets together to create larger looking buildings like these apartment complexes here. Very nice. And we've just had a look at this beach here, which they're using the what looks to be the ore mine or the stone mine texture, which I think is a pretty good texture in the game that isn't used very often. And they've connected it up using some of these textures here, which can be found on PDX Mod Store. This is most likely one of the dirty road network decals, which looks really, really good here. Really blends everything together. And then just these little piers and stones. A lot of stonework, but not overly done. You know, it's very delicately done. And then we come to this, what could be either a very expensive home, but we've got a banner at the side, so it's a very special home of a business person who wants to advertise their business, or it could be a hotel, it could be a bar. Very nice. And we've even got this little diner at the side here. I think this is most likely commercial here, since we've got these small little commercial buildings along the edge here. But this whole area is pedestrianized, which is fantastic. It's great to see all the traffic moved away from what would be quite a desirable area to live, especially near the coast and the water. But, you know, through the build, we can see there's pathways, there's roads that help people move around. There's no obstruction for people. There may be for vehicles, which I think is a pretty good way at managing traffic, is to increase the friction for traffic in your city so that people can choose to walk or take public transport. Anyway, let's have a look at this warehouse that we've got here. This is our first proper look at some industry on the island, and we've got one of these barges, this beautiful barge, which I think you can find these on the PDX Mod Store, and they really do add a lot to your build, especially if you've got a little industrial area along here. So we're coming around the Latehara Old Urban Core now, and now we're starting to head into the receiving harbour. So this is where we've got a ferry terminal. This is where a lot of the cargo and passenger freight is coming and going. So let's have a look at what we've got in this area. Again, we've got just an abundance of buildings, just an incredible city texture that we've got going through here. QE has an eye for detail, which I don't think I would ever be able to capture myself. With the color palette, the height of the buildings, it's just an incredible sight to see. Like, this is one of the most realistic builds I've ever seen. And coming down here, we've got some more of these commercial assets, industrial assets, little car parks here and there. As you'd imagine, near these tourism zones, there would be a lot of traffic and people wanting to travel around here. And this building here is absolutely stunning. This looks like an old ferry terminal that you'd see in San Francisco. Very well placed indeed. And then we've got what looks to be a custom ferry cargo terminal. So instead of having the car park here that comes with the vanilla asset, they've replaced it with shipping containers. And they've even gone ahead and recolored these to suit the island color palette, It's a very nice addition, and we can see we've got people coming down here, and look at this little entranceway we've got here, this underpass. So that pops out over here, so that prevents people from having to walk along this road, and they can just pop down these little subways and head out the other side. I think that's a very clever solution, and it's got a very small footprint. It doesn't necessarily take up too much space. And over here we've got a bus stop, it looks like, so easy access for public transport through here. And per usual, we've got incredible line work all along these roads here. Every single road has been touched, detailed, carefully crafted to suit the area. It's very, very impressive. And we're only a quarter away around the island, and I just feel like I'm completely overwhelmed with the patience, the craft. It's absolutely incredible. And it's just these little things that are quite simple to do in the game, but just elevate your city so much, such as organizing your buildings in a way that just feels much more natural, following the natural contours of the land. You can see as the hill increases, we've got these roads that are perpendicular to the elevation, and everybody's houses face onto the ocean, as you'd expect in a coastal area like this. Okay, having a look down here, we've got these two piers, and I imagine at one time in history these may have just been places to hold cargo or had warehouses, but over time they've fallen into disrepair, and this one has been replaced by what looks to be a very simple car park. We do have this bicycle path that cuts through. I really like that, so nice little detail here. But this one, I think this one is very clever. So they're using one of the new park assets that came with one of the latest DLCs, and that just sits on here really nicely. Okay, so it looks like we've got another little commercial area here, but this one feels a little bit more upmarket. You've got these tables out on the front, somewhere to grab something to eat in the evening. That's really nice. And again, we've got another one of these little jetties here with a building on, and this is beautiful. This is one of the unique assets which you can place down. It's the Mermaid Tea Lounge, and it's definitely made for the coast, isn't it? Along with the lobster tail, the lobster shack. And with these custom pier assets, it really does just complete the build. You don't get that weird harsh edge, and you don't get those weird fences or those weird corners that you get with some of the key assets or the retaining walls. This is a fantastic looking area. I would love to visit this area. Okay, and then over here, it looks like we've got a protected beach area. We've got these breakwaters, which they've cleverly used some of the ore piles. So these are the ones that you can find in Find It. Yeah, that's a very clever use of that prop there. And it's such a clean look. And it matches the texture of the sand that they've got going through here, which I assume is this color to match the color of the volcano, the volcanic ash, and the stone that you'd find in this area. But it's just, there's so many small details. I'm just not able to see everything. I think I'll have to come through and definitely take some screenshots and share those separately so that you can really admire some of these smaller areas in detail, because this video really isn't going to show absolutely everything. Okay, so I think we're reaching the far side of the island now. So that is very much the old part of town that we visited. And some of these areas here are some of the newer areas or the quieter areas. And we've got this beautiful looking marina here. So this will be using some of Jay's catamarans. Yep, very nice. And yes, up close they aren't the most perfect asset, but they're pretty good, you know, given what we've got available to us. And if we have a look from afar, That's very convincing, isn't it? It looks really nice. And then this is where we're starting to see some of our larger assets here, where they've got a bit more space to build, larger footprints. But let's have a look at these little details here. I just can't help but zoom in. We've got this little pier asset here. We've got the little gangway, little walk-in areas. That's very nice. And little parks here. Again, these are the vanilla parks, but they've just been customized to suit the city. And then that just leads you into this dense little residential area. And again, they're just using these customized roads that just integrate into the city beautifully, adding lots of layers here with these power cables, with the slight different height variations of the buildings, even some empty lots, places where buildings have yet to be built or have been reserved for future builds. And it just works all the way along here. And again, we've got another little marina area here with a cute little boat launch. That is such a simple little build, but it really adds a lot. I mean, I know I've seen people drop the road into the water before, but to add these little log piles along with these little props on top, it just adds so much more detail to the build, and it really elevates it. It's those little details that exist in real life, which are such a pain to add individually into the game, and Kui has really spent the time to elevate it by adding those smaller details. And again, we've got a great selection of assets through here, and these roads are very quiet. We've got this postal van coming through here, little red one, so that's been recolored because typically I think they're usually yellow. So it's great to see that color has been retained as we've shared the save out. Okay, moving on to the marshland that we've got here. There's a nice little road that kind of takes you through, and they have added this dirt texture to it just to make it look a little bit more rural. And then that leads you out to quite an isolated area of the island. Still very dense, lots of small buildings, but we can see now that the roads are not as polished. We've got lots of different types of surfaces representing a patchwork of asphalt. And then we even have these custom textures here that just represent a more rugged road, something that's a little bit more stony, a little bit bumpy as you come out here. I mean, there's not going to be that much traffic. It's mostly just going to be residents, city services, and not much else. And this beach is just absolutely stunning. It's not super detailed with textures and surfaces. It's just enough for it to fit into the environment without it looking too detailed. Because I do find sometimes if you spend a lot of time detailing something and then you have just regular assets placed next to the area you've just spent 3 hours detailing, the contrast can look a little bit off. And I think what this creator has done here is they've found the right balance of the amount of detail that they add, just enough to make it look realistic, but also without it being overwhelming to do. And yeah, this little rural area is absolutely fantastic. Okay, moving on to Barrier Beach. And what I like about this area is this area definitely feels much more touristy, much more commercialized. You can imagine that developers have come through here and they've used the cookie cutter approach of placing lots of the same building. Something that's very different to the old town, which is very hodgepodge, mix and match of assets. Not to say that isn't happening here, like there is a great amount of detail and asset selection, but you can get a different vibe, and that's what I like. And just the asset selection and the way they're placed can give you a whole new aesthetic to an area. If we head down to this road here, this is the main road that leads you down to Barrier Beach. And look at that. Look at this scene here where we've got all this detail. Got these custom detailed paths here, which you do get in touristy areas to kind of like lead people towards the more tourist friendly areas. These custom road markings, although the road looks like it's a little bit worn out, you'd expect that on a busy thoroughfare. They would really struggle to shut this road for maintenance if it's one of the only routes into the area. And then down here we've got this custom little Barrier Beach entrance sign on the road itself, just to let you know that you're now entering a new part of the city. And that's when the path color changes as well, by the looks of it, which is also something that you do often see in commercial areas. And we've got these little shops here as you come along the front, and then it gets super colorful here with these nice colorful residential assets, which I imagine are Airbnbs or something alike. And look at this corner here, a corner which is usually just slapped down as a 90-degree angle with a few roads coming off. This is customized. This is detailed. Somebody spent time coming through here and making sure that corner is unique to any other corner in the city. It's amazing, absolutely incredible. So yeah, let's have a look at Barrier Beach. Again, they're using this stony texture, which geologically makes a lot of sense. It's going to be that volcanic stone. Okay, so starting at the end here, very typical small little cottages, holiday homes, little condo here with the parking at the back, which is very much needed for any new developments. I imagine parking is at a high demand on the island itself just because of the lack of space. And then we come through here and we've got all these lovely little beautiful colorful homes, tiny little cul-de-sacs right on the beach. Where else would you want to live? Nowhere else, I can't imagine. And even just like placing this little building at an angle slightly, you know, so they've got a better view of the beach, especially with this little porch that they've got with the sun lounger. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And again, what they've done here is they've added all these horizontal layers so that people can have as much access to that view, that landscape as possible out to sea. And this is what adds realism to your build. Just following simple things that would naturally happen in real life. And I've just spotted we've got this tiny little Venice area here. Wow, I haven't seen this. Like, I keep being surprised every time I look around this city. And I tried not to spoil it for myself so that, you know, my reaction is genuine. And this is incredible. Look at this. We've got this tiny little road bridge here. It's so cute. And then we've got these little canal roads coming through here. That is so clever. And again, it's just this asset selection. I'm barely seeing anything that is more than, say, like 2 or 3 tiles wide. And yeah, this is how you're able to create, you know, unique looking little neighborhoods. Just build small, but build plenty, lots and lots of detail. Even this mailbox has been recolored. Look at that. That mailbox is usually yellow in the base game, and they've come through, QE's come through and just spent time, care and affection on every single aspect of this game. All the details are absolutely stunning. So this is, yeah, like a little canal district, little Venice district in this marshy area. Up close, up near the tourism area where land is in high demand, so they've absolutely justified why they would build something like this. I would definitely love to live in an area like this. It's super cozy, very quiet, and a great place to walk about as well. You know, these roads don't really lead anywhere, so you could easily just walk along the streets without seeing a car very often. And then it all just merges into a new area over here. The transition is fabulous. It doesn't feel like one build ends and another begins. Not in this city. It actually feels like every little area has just grown organically over time. Okay, let's have a look at some of these larger beach assets here. This is a great combination of these buildings. They do look like little holiday homes, something you'd expect in these areas. Each one with its own exclusive entrance, little porch area. That's very clever. I'm curious to know what these buildings are. These are part of the American beachfront assets by the looks of it. That's very nice. And again, we've just got these little details here where we've got the pedestrian paths just cutting through, allowing people to just make as much use of the amenities as possible. Yeah, I'm absolutely blown away. And then, as I said, over here is where we're going to see where the developers have come in and started to mass produce cookie cutter looking either homes, apartments, or holiday homes. Yeah, this is beautiful. And then we've got this little central area here with a few park assets. Nice little pedestrian roundabout in the middle. This is a nice way to kind of create community areas without necessarily using roads. Okay, moving on from Barrier Beach, we're going to have a look at Rickeye Beach. And this is quite a unique area actually, because it includes a custom airport. Now, while this airport isn't functioning, it really does give you an idea of what you can create in the game. And once we get better access to airport building assets, things that we can customize, I can imagine something like this being upgraded, updated to actually be usable. I mean, I wouldn't want it to be functioning right now anyway, because we don't necessarily have the right aeroplane vehicles. They're far too large for a runway like this. I imagine this is more for propeller-based aircraft. So I'm happy to see it, and I'm happy to see it not actually being used as an international airport. But the details through here, look at this. These aren't decals that you can download. These are actually created using line paint networks, net lines that you can find in the game already and unlock using mods. And then this building here is just so unique. You can see it's a construction of a few different things here. We've got the community firehouse watchtower. We've got this big radio mast that sits at the top. So if you want to create something that's a little bit detailed and not necessarily functioning, the world's your oyster. Like, there is so much in the game already to kind of play around with and customize. And all through here, we've got this beautiful neighborhood, and you can see there is a whole new color palette that's been developed for this area with the blue and green roofs. It really does bring an area together, having that similarity of the color palette. It just feels more cohesive. And it's okay to kind of break the rules every now and then. Like, we've got these buildings here that don't necessarily have the same color palette, but it does add to that overall chaos and detail that these areas would naturally have in reality. Lots of little developments. You can imagine this whole area would have been built at one time, but these houses on the corner here were already existing, especially this eccentric looking one here. And then we got this nice little custom roundabout again. All the little details with the pedestrian paths taking you through to some of the neighborhoods further out. It's absolutely incredible. Little parking bays at the side here, completely integrated into the surrounding assets. It doesn't look like this has been zoned and left to the side of the road. This feels like it's all been created at the same time. Like one influences the other. So like, how wide is this road? How far forward can this building be constructed? And that's how you create something that looks much more realistic. And I'm sure I'm missing things that you guys are spotting, which you would love to have a closer look at. But unfortunately, the save game isn't going to be available to download. This is very much a work in progress, and the creator would much prefer to continue working on this and share updates on it in the future. And I'm sure to share any new updates once I receive them as well. And I'm just getting so much inspiration through here. Lots of imagination used here. Absolutely incredible. And then that takes us back round to the city entrance, where we've got this congested road, which looks to be easing up a little bit now. That's quite good. And yep, this is where we've got a few more of the higher density buildings. We've got this beautiful car park. Look at this. This is a commercial zone. It's a big box store, but it's a completely different version that I've ever seen before. Like, this just feels much more realistic. A bit of looseness, organicness, whatever you want to say. But like, just most people, I myself included, would typically build these car parks rectangular, and then I would plop a couple of buildings on the end, and I would make the environment fit my build. But what QE has done here is had a look at the space, created a plot of land, and then maximized the use of that land, you know, with curved parking spaces, with curved buildings. And to me, it just feels so much more lifelike. And look at this, we've got recolored ambulances. Sorry for the sound. And yeah, it looks like they're heading out. And as I said, like, this city is functioning. You've got ambulances, postal services, you've got fire engines, schools, medical clinics, everything that you'd expect a city to need, it has. It's not just a canvas in which somebody has painted a city. They've created something that has life. It has a purpose. You know, everything that's placed down is either needed to help the city survive or provide people leisure time, or just boosting the population, you know. Okay, so having a look at what we've got left, we're going to have a look at the entry corridor. So this is named after the road that comes through here, but that does take us down to the business point as well. So we'll have a look at that, and let's head down to this main road again. As you'd imagine, main road has a lot of businesses along it. They've got a lot of eyes on their buildings, so they are more likely to have people wanting to rent the space to sell products or sell their services. So yeah, I absolutely understand why we've got a lot more density through here. And then parallel to that, I've just noticed that we've got this light rail coming through here. So this is the one that comes through from the city entrance, and it just cuts through here. It's not a perfectly straight line, which I absolutely adore. I think it's so easy to just create harsh straight lines in Cities Skylines. It's just so much easier. And then look at this. This is the high school, the urban high school asset. And then they've just got the light rail coming through here. That's so nice. It's so special. And then that takes you into this custom metro station. Look at this, and it's detailed. Look at this, the level of detail here, and it's functioning. We've got seating, we've got ticket machines, we've got a cafe or a restaurant over here, we've got lights. That's amazing. And then I'm guessing everybody gets dumped down here into this pedestrian area where we've got so much detail, something that you will barely even see when you're building from above. I'm absolutely gobsmacked, absolutely adoring this. And then over here, and this is something that QE pointed out to me, is they've actually been able to integrate a real working parking facility underneath the metro station or the light rail station. So you will get people coming in here, parking up, using local facilities, but also using it to jump onto the light rail to get to other parts of the city. There's just so much to see, from these unique pedestrian crossings to these tiny little pedestrian streets. There isn't going to be enough time to see everything at all. But before we do move on, let's have a look at this business district. So this is where we've got all the big offices. We've got this a beautiful looking, I'm guessing, shopping centre, or maybe it's just a large office complex. And again, we've got another of one of these custom metro stations, fully decked out with all the details, ticket machines, seating, bins. We've got this little pedestrian bridge that connects these two buildings up to the parking garage here, which is completely hidden. You can only see it through the side here. You've got office buildings lining each side here. That's so clever. That is so clever. And I'm guessing this is the town hall as well. So this is the central civic district, where all the politicians are going, eh? Okay, well, we may as well follow this light rail around here, and this takes us up to the end of the line. And again, I'll give you another view of another stunning light rail station, and this one's got this nice little blue roof here, and it's only got a platform on one side, since it's only got one stop here, and this is on top of this beautiful custom building here. And I believe this is the Technical University. And if we have a look at that from above, that's just incredible. All the little roads going into different places, all the little footpaths. You could walk everywhere, you could drive here, you could take the public transport. It's very impressive. We've got this large park asset that came with one of the latest DLCs, but it's been customized. You know, we've got these university dorms added here. We've got this college classroom extension building added here. Got a few car parks. Even got a little helipad section here for special guests coming in, and a lovely little football field with nice little custom seating. Nice to see that the seating isn't wrapping all the way around the football field. It's quite common in parts of the world where they don't draw as large crowds, so they don't need as much seating. And then we've got what looks to be a special aircraft display here. I'm guessing this is all a part of what the university does. They are probably researching aircraft or aeroplane technology, and that's being honored here. Yeah, we've got quite a few through here, so this is what I'm imagining. And look at this little building here with the wings coming off in different directions. And yeah, I'm gobsmacked. I'm absolutely gobsmacked. This whole city is absolutely incredible. So if we have a quick look at some of the info views here, Traffic, I don't think is going to be any different from city to city. It's never really more than 60%. And even though a lot of these roads are orange, it doesn't really express the fluidity of the city when it comes to public transport or walkability. Like, this whole city is very walkable. You've got this beautiful grid structure, whether it's roads or pedestrian paths. It's very easy to get around. If we have a look at the health, they're doing pretty well. We've got a nice spread of medical facilities through here. I've seen that ambulances are being able to get about quite easily. We can see there's a few out and about already. And similarly with fire service, the whole area is serviced very, very well. And similar with police. Although with the latest update, we do get a higher crime probability. So while most of this build was more than likely created before the latest patch, I kind of expect there to be a lot more crime than anything else. If we jump into education, surprise, surprise, like, everything is covered fairly well, apart from college. But as we know, in Cities Skylines 2, if your city doesn't have a college, students can commute out of the city. So as long as you've got good connections to the edge of your map, it's not too much of an issue. So people can still get an education. But have a look at elementary school. Like, we've got capacity here for 1,700 or 17,000 students. Have you ever heard of such a high capacity of student place availability? I think most people actually really struggle in this regard. So being able to achieve that capacity is absolutely incredible. If we have a look at mail, again, I did point out that the mail services have been completely customized. Those mailboxes are a custom color, the mail vans, the post vans are a custom color, and they've got incredible coverage. Everyone has incredible mail service in this city. And it's a similar story with telecom. Like, it's not bright green, but there is a clear intention to provide, good enough service. So as you'd expect in some of these outer neighborhoods where it's a little bit more rural or on the edges of the touristic areas, it might not be as good. But overall, pretty good coverage, especially in the downtown area where we would expect the vast majority of people to be living. And if we have a quick look at population, this is something that is so important for a functioning city, and that's keeping unemployment low, keeping homelessness low, and they have done a fantastic job. So it's not just about creating a beautiful city, but it is creating a city where it works. They're playing the game that Cities Skylines 2 was intended to be made for. They are working with the simulation while also building something that's impressive, it's detailed. And I think that is where we are now with Cities Skylines 2 in combination with mods, is we're able to spend time working on the details, whether it's creating custom road networks, beautiful beaches, apartment complexes, airports. But at the same time, we could also service those people with jobs, school places, medical facilities. There's a balance. There's a way of doing that now in Cities Skylines 2 with the help of mods. So absolutely blown away with this build. I'm looking forward to seeing what else QE creates on this map. There is so much more that I would love to share but isn't quite finished yet, but I might show you a little bit of a sneak peek in the cinematics. But if you liked this build, if you'd liked this style of episode, let us know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more updates from QE in the future, let us know. And if there's enough interest, I'm sure we'll come back to it in the future. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.